100,000. Yes, you heard that right. One offering, one man, one moment that shook the Seventh-day Adventist community to its core. When Pastor Carlton Byrd walked to the pulpit during the camp meeting, no one expected what happened next. Was it an act of faith or a display of power? The crowd gasped, some shouted "Amen," and others. They quietly questioned everything. But what you're about to hear will leave you speechless. Stay tuned, because this is where it gets controversial. What really happened at the Seventh-day Adventist camp meeting when Pastor Carlton Byrd dropped that jaw-dropping $100,000 offering? Was it a spontaneous move led by divine inspiration, or a bold public statement with deeper intentions? And most importantly, what does it say about faith, finances, and leadership in the modern-day church? In today's video, we're diving deep into one of the most talked about offerings in recent Adventist history. We'll uncover what really went down during the camp meeting, examine Pastor Byrd's intentions, how the congregation responded, and why the online backlash has been explosive. But we won't stop there. We'll explore how the church's financial culture is shifting and what this moment tells us about the future of high-profile pastors and megachurch money. You won't believe the insider details we've uncovered, including what Pastor Byrd said before and after making the offering, the stunned reactions from clergy and members in attendance, and the divided opinions now flooding online communities. So grab your seat, stay locked in, and be sure to watch till the very end, because the final revelation, they definitely didn't want you to know that part. To understand the magnitude of Pastor Carlton Byrd's $100,000 offering, you first have to understand the setting. This wasn't just any church service. It was the Seventh-day Adventist camp meeting, an annual spiritual gathering that draws thousands of believers from across the country. It's known for powerful preaching, vibrant worship, heartfelt testimonies, and moments that stir the soul. Held in a large open-air venue with choirs singing, hands raised in praise, and energy vibrating through the crowd, this year's meeting already had a heightened sense of anticipation. People were looking for revival. They came expecting miracles, answers, breakthroughs. And with Pastor Byrd, a prominent and sometimes controversial figure in the SDA community, set to speak that evening, the buzz was electric. Carlton Byrd is no ordinary pastor. As a former speaker, director of Breath of Life Ministries, and the current senior pastor of Oakwood University Church, he's a polished orator, a respected leader, and someone known for thinking big, whether in vision or in giving. So when he stepped onto the stage, Bible in hand, tailored suit, crisp, voice booming through the microphone, you could feel the shift. Something big was about to happen, and everyone in that audience knew it. The moment didn't start with the offering. It started with a message. "God's about to blow your mind," Pastor Byrd declared, pacing across the stage, his voice rising with every word. "But before he gives you the miracle, he'll test your obedience." As the sermon progressed, the energy intensified. The choir sang behind him. The audience responded with shouts of "Preach" and "Amen." And that's when he pivoted from the message to the challenge. He spoke of faith, sacrifice, legacy. He talked about breaking financial strongholds. He quoted the widow's mite. And then he did the unthinkable. He said, "I'm not asking you to do something I won't do myself. So today, right now, I'm giving $100,000 to this ministry." The crowd went silent for a split second, like a collective gasp. Then came a wave of shock, followed by applause, followed by murmurs. Did he say 100,000? Is that real? Who even does that? Phones came out. Some clapped, others stared, stunned. A few shook their heads. And in that exact moment, the offering wasn't just a donation. It became a public spectacle, a line in the sand. But what led to such a bold move? Was it spiritual conviction or something more calculated? Because here's where it gets deeper. and possibly more controversial. In the world of ministry, particularly among high-profile pastors, every action is layered, especially when it comes to money. So when Pastor Carlton Byrd pledged a staggering $100,000 offering during the camp meeting, it wasn't just a spiritual act, it was a statement. But the question that exploded across social media and church halls alike was this: was it a move of faith or a calculated strategy? Let's break it down. The faith-based viewpoint. To his supporters and many fellow believers, Pastor Byrd's offering was a radical act of faith, a modern-day example of sacrificial giving. During his message, he framed it through biblical precedent. He referenced Abraham's willingness to offer Isaac. He quoted Malachi 3:10, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse." He reminded the audience that you can't beat God giving no matter how hard you try. Supporters viewed the offering as symbolic, a public declaration that spiritual leaders must lead by example, even when it hurts. He didn't ask the people to sow without sowing first himself. That was leadership in motion. It inspired me to rethink my own faith walk. This group sees Pastor Byrd as a man of conviction, boldly modeling the power of giving, not for show, but to challenge the comfort zones of complacent believers. But then, there's the strategic view. Not everyone was convinced. Many critics online were quick to ask, why now, why this moment, and why so public? It's no secret that Pastor Byrd has been a polarizing figure in some SDA circles. After leaving Breath of Life Ministries in 2021 and moving into broader leadership roles, some have accused him of branding his platform more than shepherding his flock. So this public $100,000 offering, broadcast on live stream, picked up in news articles, shared across TikTok and church Facebook groups, looked to some like a PR play. Here's what sparked the speculation: timing. The offering occurred just as Byrd was rumored to be pursuing a larger denominational role. Was it an act of generosity or a power move before the next big step? Visibility. Unlike anonymous giving, this donation was public, verbal, and repeated multiple times during the service. Why not give quietly? Legacy building. Some critics argue this was about cementing his legacy, that when people look back on his ministry, they'll remember the 100K moment. And let's not ignore the questions that followed. Where did the money come from? Is he giving from personal wealth or from church funds? Is this to overshadow past controversies? Now, to be clear, no evidence has surfaced indicating any misuse of church finances. But in today's social media climate, perception is power, and many are shaping their own narrative around the gesture. Comparing past patterns. This isn't Pastor Byrd's first bold move. Over the years, he's been known for large-scale evangelistic events, big-budget worship productions, visionary building projects. In 2016, he spearheaded the construction of a multi-million-dollar church building project at Oakwood. In 2020, he launched virtual revival series that pulled massive online audiences. He's always thought on a megachurch scale, even while working within traditional Adventist structures. So in that context, a $100,000 offering isn't just a moment. It's part of a pattern. Big vision, big delivery, big reactions. And maybe that's the point. But here's the real question. Is it wrong for a pastor to give publicly? Some say absolutely. Citing Matthew 6:3, "Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing." Others say leadership means being visible in sacrifice, showing the way when the stakes are high. So was Pastor Byrd showing off, or was he showing the power of faith? That debate still rages on. When Pastor Carlton Byrd uttered the words $100,000, the ripple effect wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual, social, and deeply personal. Inside the venue, the crowd's reaction was instant and electric. Some stood up in praise, hands lifted. Others blinked in disbelief. A few, quietly seated, looked around as if to ask, "Did he just say what I think he said?" In that sacred space where worship was high and expectations were higher, something shifted. The mood turned from spiritual elevation to financial awe. The immediate reactions, worship or whiplash? In the front rows, elders and church leaders clapped in support. Some rose to meet the moment with their own offerings, visibly moved by Pastor Byrd's boldness. One attendee even shouted, "That's leadership. That's next-level faith." But not everyone was ready to celebrate. Toward the back, several younger attendees could be seen whispering, some even pulling out their phones to film, others shaking their heads in disbelief. Their expressions, not judgmental, but conflicted. Is this church or is this a show? It's powerful, but something feels off. That's tuition money. That's a house deposit. The tension in the room wasn't about what was done, but how it was done. The internet catches fire. Praise versus outrage. It didn't take long for clips of the offering moment to surface online. TikTok, Twitter, now X, YouTube Shorts, and Adventist Facebook groups exploded with divided opinions, millions of views in a matter of hours. Supporters praised Pastor Byrd as an anointed example of obedience. Critics accused him of spiritual showboating and emotional manipulation. Observers questioned the impact. What does this teach the average struggling believer? Comments range from, "This man is walking in divine favor, a true steward of God's resources." "How many church members have lost jobs this year, and he's giving away $100,000 in front of cameras?" "Where is the transparency? Is it his personal money, or is it from a fund?" "I'm inspired and confused at the same time." The most viral comment? "If the church claps for a $100,000 offering, but can't fund a scholarship program for its own kids, are we even doing this right?" And that comment hit a nerve. Inside church leadership, quiet conversations behind closed doors, conversations among church elders and regional leadership have reportedly intensified. While some are celebrating the act as a breakthrough moment for fundraising and faith engagement, others are worried. Privately, some leaders have shared concerns about the lack of financial disclosure tied to the offering, the precedent it sets for members to follow out of pressure, the risk of shifting focus from salvation and service to optics and wealth. Several conference presidents reportedly discussed the moment during follow-up meetings, asking questions like, was this orchestrated or spontaneous? Will people now feel like their $100 offering isn't enough? Are we sending the wrong message to struggling members? These aren't light accusations. In fact, this single moment is sparking what some are calling a values crisis within the denomination. Generational divide, millennials and Gen Z are not impressed among the older generations in the SDA church. Public giving, especially by pastors, has long been seen as a mark of honor. But for younger members, especially millennials and Gen Z, this offering didn't hit the same. Many of them are already skeptical of megachurch culture, and this act felt eerily similar to what they've seen on televangelist networks: flashy, emotional, and strategic. One user on Reddit wrote, "When I hear $100,000 offering, I don't think faith. I think manipulation. I need receipts, not emotion. Where's the accountability?" Some younger viewers applauded the gesture, but still questioned the public execution. Give it, yes, but why shout it from the stage? That's where it loses me. A divided community, what happens now? At the heart of it, the Seventh-day Adventist Church prides itself on order, stewardship, and humility. So when a leading figure gives such a massive public offering, it shakes those core values. Some congregations are now having sermons and Bible studies centered around giving ethics, accountability, and financial stewardship. Others are treating the moment as a teaching tool to inspire radical faith, not reckless spending. What's clear is this: Pastor Byrd's offering has created a fracture, one that runs through age, theology, leadership, and even geography. And the question that lingers is, will this moment unify the church through inspiration or divide it further through controversy? $100,000. It's not just a number, it's a statement, a financial mic drop. And ever since Pastor Carlton Byrd announced that offering at the camp meeting, one burning question has echoed across the Seventh-day Adventist community and social media. Where exactly did the money come from? In religious circles, especially within tight-knit denominations like the SDA Church, transparency is critical, a gesture that large automatically invites scrutiny, and Pastor Byrd's offering is no exception. While many praised the faith behind the gift, others began pulling receipts, reviewing past interviews, and even analyzing public salary reports and church budgets to answer the very question shaking the flock. Was it personal wealth or church funds? Let's break this down objectively. Pastor Byrd is not your average pastor. Over the years, he has held multiple high-ranking leadership positions in the Adventist Church, including speaker, director of Breath of Life Ministries, senior pastor of Oakwood University Church, administrative positions within the South Central Conference. And with these roles comes a respectable salary, but nothing near the level that would comfortably absorb a $100,000 offering without deep planning or extraordinary means. Some speculate the funds may have come from personal savings or investments. Byrd has likely received stipends, honorariums, and love offerings for his national and international speaking engagements. Some even suggest he's invested wisely over the years in real estate and personal ventures, although nothing is publicly confirmed. Honorariums and publishing income. Carlton Byrd has been a prolific speaker and teacher. With books, conference appearances, and media engagements, he may have accumulated tens of thousands in speaking fees and related revenue. Fund designation or preallocated church project funds. This is where it gets blurry. Was the $100,000 personal or designated for ministry projects? Some viewers fear the offering may have come from a redirected fund meant for a broader church cause, such as youth outreach, mission trips, or building expansion. If that's the case, critics argue labeling it an offering without context feels misleading. Financial silence or intentional mystery. As of now, Pastor Byrd has not made a formal public statement detailing the source of the money. That silence has created a vacuum of speculation. Some believe he's choosing humility over clarification, while others feel that transparency is owed when such a large public gift is made in front of believers who are financially struggling in a post-pandemic world. One TikTok commenter said it best: when someone makes a faith move like that, it inspires. But when there's no follow-up explanation, it confuses. Another asked, is this meant to challenge our faith or remind us who's in charge? It's a subtle tension, a balance between inspiration and optics. The broader church response. Asking the hard questions across regional conferences and local SDA congregations, the ripple effects of Byrd's offering have led to conversations about money, ethics, and optics. Some are calling for greater financial transparency among SDA pastors, annual disclosure of personal and church-related gifts above a certain amount, training on separating personal sacrifice from public influence. A few youth leaders have even started workshops around faith versus financial pressure, trying to equip young members with tools to discern spiritual inspiration from performative giving. These aren't just policy conversations, they're cultural, and the church is evolving because of them. Here's the shocking part they don't want you to know. Some insiders allege that Pastor Byrd's offering was pre-approved by a select group of leaders within the regional conference. If true, that could mean the moment was more planned than presented. And even more explosive, a few anonymous sources suggest that this offering may have been used to leverage future financial campaigns, setting the tone for upcoming multi-million-dollar fundraisers where Byrd's act becomes the centerpiece. If that's accurate, then this wasn't just a gift. It was a strategic move in a long-term fundraising narrative, but nothing has been confirmed. And in the absence of answers, the Seventh-day Adventist Church finds itself at a crossroads, wrestling with a question that's far bigger than dollars. Can faith and finance coexist without becoming a performance?